So I started this video like over 2 years ago, and I'm finally getting around to finishing it. But it's on how you can paint a door and make it look professional. The start of this video, I go over kind of the interior type wood grained flat doors, and later on I'll cover, you know, these kind of metal flat doors without a wood grain, and then I'll go over other types of doors. So I'll do it all in this video. Hope you enjoy it. I am here to show you in this video how to paint doors to make them look professional. Now, my whole house I got is 1972. All the doors look like this, really dark. You know, it's brown and black, and boy, it makes the whole place look dark, like a cave, you know, having these dark doors. So I was painting all my doors and trim to be an off-white, so it's kind of, you know, a modern look. And I used to be a painter a long time ago, and a contractor doing drywall and painting, so I've got some, I guess, useful tips. I'll show you how it turns out too. But there's, you know, different ways to paint your doors. As a painter, I've taken off all the doors, you know, I'm taking them into my garage, which was all taped off, sprayed them with a sprayer. I've done it that way. It's a lot of work doing it that way. It does look really nice when you spray them, but it doesn't look that much nicer than just using a brush. So that's what I'm going to show you, how to brush these doors to make them look good. Okay, and one of the first things I'm going to do to all my doors and stuff is to get them prepared to paint them. And so if you look at this, like the reflection here, you can see this door is shiny, right? And if you know, you want to take that shine off of anything you're going to be painting. So doors, windows, whatever. If you look at it, you know, it's shiny looking. You need to get that prepared by using the sanding block on it. You can also primer this stuff. Now I don't go through the effort of primering it. Maybe you could skip sanding and just primer it and then start painting it, but for me it's not worthwhile doing that, so I don't do that. Yeah. Oh, and you know, other things, you know, if you already have a place, say it's you know, you're in a rental or something, and or have a rental unit, old place that's, you know, been painted many times. A lot of times the door's already been used, you know, somebody will use a roller on it, and that kind of leaves a more textured look. And so I don't like that look on doors, but I mean, if you're already starting with that look, I mean, you kind of have to keep going with it. So if you, you know, if you have that look already and you're just going to use a roller, just use like a real fine nap roller so you don't get more of that textured look. So for me, I don't like that look, especially with these kind of virgin doors that never have been painted before. So, you know, but that's always an option too. Hey, so this is one of my doors right here. You can see this is like way shiny. So this is not good for painting. So I got these sanding blocks. You can find them all over the place. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along everything and just kind of rub it down like that. You know, you don't need to do it a lot. All you need to do is do it enough to take the shine off. So I'll see if I can. Okay, so now it's hard to see, but now this is kind of dulled down. It's not really shiny anymore. It's a little bit shiny, but you can see the sand marks in it. So it's got, you know, a place now for the paint to grab to. So I mean, it's a pain in the butt going over everything, you know, sanding it down, but it really doesn't take that long, and everything's going to be, you know, prepared for painting it. So anyways, that you got to get those. And then too, after after I get everything prepared by sanding it, I'm going to go through and I'm going to caulk everything. So you can see anywhere where there's like a crack, you're going to see that when you paint it white. You're just going to see a crack everywhere. So we want to go through, put like a real thin layer of caulk everywhere, and then, you know, wipe it down. You can see I don't have a lot of caulk over the edges or anything. And you smooth it down with your fingers, get that filled in. If you don't fill in all these cracks everywhere, like here and then on the corners and then here, you're going to see those later. And so to have it like professional looking, you got to go through and caulk everything before you start painting. Okay, here's one where I already finished the door, but you can see I didn't caulk this area right there. And it's just real obvious you got this dark line in the white paint. So that's why I always try to get those caulked in. I just forgot to do that one, so that's what it looks like. And this is just a comparison. This is what the door used to look like. There's the new paint job. So you can tell, like, really makes this area a lot brighter and everything, just by painting it a kind of off-white color. Okay, and here's what I'm trying to achieve when I'm painting this. So if you can look at this, you can still see the wood grain in there, the little wood grain marks. So that's what I want to keep the look. I want to keep that wood grain look. It'll make it look a lot more natural. And then all these flat areas, I mean, all the brush strokes are you know, hardly noticeable. And the thing is, you just want all your brush strokes always to be going, you know, in one direction with the grain. So if you had all your brush strokes going like this, I mean, you would see this kind of crisscross pattern. So it's always like this downward straight movement on everything. But that's what we're trying to get, this look where you still have the wood grain in there, and it's not like a real thick layer of paint. Hey, so one thing I don't do, I don't waste my time trying to tape off all these hinges. It would just be a big pain in the butt, you know, try to get, and paint usually gets in there anyway. So I just go ahead and paint these, and then, I mean, really on this metal, if you got some paint coming over, you just use your fingernail, you know, and you can scratch off that paint. So it's really not worth the effort of masking it off, you know. And too, on the edges of doors, like right here, it's hard to always try to paint in this direction and get a nice tight line there. So usually I'll, you know, paint this, and hopefully you got some touch-up paint, so it's easier to come in with a brush going this direction against the wall to get a nice straight line. So I don't bother, you know, taping off stuff on the edges either. Just a lot of time, and I don't find the tape to really, you know, keep out paint that well. So you always got a little bleed mark somewhere you got to fix. So for me anyways, it's just easier to do it this way. So I always do, you know, paint this edge first and then come back and touch up this one coming down this edge. It'll be a lot easier. Hey, so that really wasn't so bad. Maybe about 10-15 minutes to sand this down. You can tell probably it's a lot duller looking, you know, so it's probably pretty good right now. And so I'm gonna probably wipe down the door with just a wet cloth, get this powdery stuff off, and then I'll probably caulk it. Hey, and what's really good about these sanding blocks, I mean, and all these little cracks and stuff, they just fit really nice in the corner there, and you can just run them up and down real fast, and you know, these grooves too. It really makes everything pretty fast and easy. It doesn't take really that much effort to get this scuffed up. You can see that looks pretty scuffed up already, but that's perfect. And so I'll finish doing that. I'm really doing 3 doors and this this weird little doorway here. It did have a pocket door in this thing, so I put I put this piece of flooring over top so you wouldn't see the pocket door in there. It would look weird with all the dark lines, you know, so this will make it look solid, you know, solid white looking. On sanding this door too, when I'm sanding these flat ones, I'm always just straight up and down on the grain. You want to keep going with the grain on everything. So sanding, you know, don't go this way, just always up and down with the grain. And same with painting, we're just going straight up and down, nothing sideways. Keeps all the lines kind of running the same direction so you don't really notice it. Hey, so I'm done with all my sanding, so all I'm doing now, I'm just taking this wet rag and I'm just wiping it all down, getting all this kind of powder stuff off. I mean, it really does leave a mess on the floor and stuff, but anyways, just wiping all this down, and then should be ready for caulking then. Alright, glad to have that sanding and stuff done. So anyways, I got some caulk. This is just some, you know, fast dry stuff you can use. It's not like it's you need a particular kind or anything. I like this fast dry stuff. And but anyways, I'm gonna show you where I'm gonna caulk. I'm gonna caulk in all these edges and stuff. Now this outside edge right here, I'm not gonna caulk that, and I really don't sand that either because it's gonna hit the wall. So I'm gonna paint this and I'm gonna touch it up on the wall. And then at the very last thing, I would use caulk on this edge. And then once you put a little caulk here and it's a white against white, you're not gonna really, you know, off-white against off-white, you're not gonna see white caulk, really, it won't notice it. So that's the best thing to do for that. Otherwise, it's hard to cut your edges if you already, you know, put caulk in there. So anyways, on this side, I'll show you what I'm doing. Just cut this tip right here really small. You don't want a big tip. And so once I'll come in here and I'm gonna do this corner right here. So I just put this really small bead of caulk like that, just real fast. And then I take my little pinky and I smooth it out with my pinky, and then I got a paper towel I'm wiping it off on. So anyways, you want that to be like a really tiny bead of caulk, so you barely even see it in there. If you got like a big, you know, blob of stuff in there, you're gonna have a ton of caulk on your hand to wipe off always. So then if you got that much caulk on your finger, then you're having too big of a bead. So I'm gonna get this thing all caulked up, and then, you know, I guess I'm doing a window in there too. So, but on this door right here, it's a garage door, so it's already got this kind of this foam stuff around the edges of the door here, and you know, I'm just gonna do this one cheesy, and I'm not gonna try scraping all that off and you know, painting it. It's just a garage door, you won't even notice it. But of course, if it was, you know, the bathroom door or something where I'd notice it, people would notice it, then I would do it right. So anyways, it's gonna be a little cheat on this door to do it quicker. But I'm gonna get on all this caulk and get it ready to paint. And this is the bathroom window. So on this one, I'm gonna, you know, caulk right here on this bit of trim along here, and you know, these there's a dark crack in this corner, and this is a pretty big gap in this corner here. So I just want to fill all those in so it looks nice and smooth. And when I put this stuff on up here on this corner, let's see if you can see this. So I'm really kind of squeezing it in there really good. And then I'm taking my finger and I want to, you know, wipe almost all that off so you can, so it looks really smooth. You don't want any globs of caulk anywhere. So you smooth everything out with your fingers. And see, now it's just barely just filling in that crack. So that's what you want. You don't want a lot of goop of caulk anywhere. And usually if there's holes and stuff in here, I just put a little caulk in there. You could use, you know, regular filler. But whenever you do that, you gotta remember, wipe it off good so you don't want any globs of anything anywhere. Hey, and on this door right here, so again, I'm gonna caulk, you know, the edge against the wall. I'm not gonna caulk till the end. This one's tight, you won't even see it, I won't caulk it. But so I'm gonna do this edge right here. There's this edge right here. I'm gonna caulk that. The inside right here of the door where it meets here, I'm not gonna caulk because even if there's a crack, you probably won't notice it ever. But on the other side, of course, I'll caulk that side. So just going crazy with the caulking, you know. But again, it's always, you know, you're doing a small, real small bead, and always like smooth things out with your finger, you know, and it leaves a nice rounded edge. It looks really nice after you paint it and everything. So just continue on with the caulking. Hey, and before I start painting, I'll just share my knowledge of painting. These are my brushes that I'm going to use. I actually get these at the dollar store. It's like Dollar Tree brushes, but they're like really full brushes. The bristles stay in, you know, really good. Usually on cheap brushes, the problem is you're painting and then you'll have bristles fall out, and then you'll be picking these bristles out. But these are, you know, pretty good brushes for $1, and so that's what I use all the time. Some of the other, you know, cheaper brands with wood handles have really thin bristles and not very soft, so I wouldn't recommend those. And even, you know, usually when I was a painter, I would buy like real, you know, nice brushes that were like $30 a piece. But I would always wash them out and keep using them. But these, I'd rather use my brushes, toss them out at the end of the day. It's like, you know, $2. It's kind of wasteful. But, you know, usually though, I usually use them for a whole job. But anyways, I got a 3-inch. Usually I like a 3-inch on this big space on the door. I like a 2-inch one for this, you know, smaller trim stuff. And so that's usually what I like. It's easier to get in these corners, you know, on the edge with a smaller brush. So that's why I got 2 of those. And you know, when I'm done using this, I just put it in the bag. So the thing is, you know, you can reuse brushes for days. After I'm done, I just put the wet brush in here. It'll be all wet. And I just kind of squeeze out the air and fold it there. And you know, that'll save for another day. Then tomorrow I can finish painting on stuff. I can put it in the bag again, save it for the next day, keep painting. So you can reuse brushes a long time if you just, you know, use a plastic bag. And if you do buy better brushes and you wash them out, one of the tricks is if you wash them out, usually you're just shaking it like this to get the water out of the brush. But if you take it like this and flick it in your hands like that, I mean, all the water comes off and it'll be like almost instantly dry. So that's a little trick with brushes. So for this job, I'm using this Miller paint. I just have always used Miller paints for like better stuff. You know, I'm not endorsing them or whatever, but since I was a painter like 20 some years ago, I used to use their paints. So I find them like that's a good paint. It's a little thin, but I find for like painting doors and stuff, if it's a little thin, it'll paint on a lot smoother. And so I'm fine with this being real thin. It's going to take probably about three or four coats really to cover this dark wood. And I mean, just the way it is trying to cover up this just totally dark wood. If you're covering up a light color, you know, it would be a lot easier. Maybe, you know, 2 coats would be fine. And with this paint, you know, there's different sheens. This, I'm using a satin, And so usually in bathrooms you'd pick like a semi-gloss, and on doors you pick a semi-gloss, and that's just because it's a lot sturdier. And so if you gotta, scrub your bathroom walls, you want a sturdier kind of paint, and especially on doors, if you got little kids nicking it with their toys and stuff or whatever, want to be sturdier so it holds up better, but it's a lot shinier too, and so I don't really like that shine. And so I prefer like a satin is what I'm using for all my doors and stuff right now. And it's got some durability, but it's not so shiny. And the difference with shiny versus flat paints, I mean, if you have a shiny paint, it's going to be durable, but you see imperfections a lot. And so if you have like a wall that's got all these globs or whatever on it, it doesn't look very well. You can put like a flat paint and you don't notice stuff very much, but if you put on like a semi-gloss, you're going to see a shine and you'll see all those imperfections. So that's the deal on different sheens, so the one underneath semi-gloss is like satin, so that's what I'm going with my doors, on a satin, and in my walls in the bathroom I'd probably go with the satin. So, but all the rest of my walls in the house, I go with a flat paint, just so the walls kind of, you don't notice things in the walls as much. Okay, and really I don't have like huge amounts of advice on the actual painting besides, get a decent paint. Like I said, I got this, I always use this kind of paint. If you get the cheap stuff at Walmart, I've used that before for walls, but man, you almost need like 3 coats just white on white for that cheap paint. So especially on doors and trim, I always go with a better paint. And I'm doing this off-white color on the whole thing, and it's kind of funny. I picked out this off-white color like 20 years ago, and I've used this color for like 4 different houses. This is the 4th house I've been painting all this color, and I went down to the paint store. I said, can I see what this color looks like? Because I mean, I always use it, but I don't know what it looks like. And she went and looked up the color, and I just looking at the whole stack of colors, I said, I'd probably pick something off this card. And she came back and she said, oh, it's off that card. And I said, I would obviously pick the same color, 22 years later, which is kind of funny. So I'm still rolling with Cotton Ball is the color, and from Miller Paints. And yeah, so I would always recommend an off-white color. To me, I like white ceilings, and so I don't want all my doors and stuff to be white because it'd be too much white. And so I always paint in off-white. And so I picked this Cotton Ball color, and one time I was working as a contractor. I was painting this lady's house, and she wanted all these doors painted a dark color, and I told her, man, you don't want that. You're trying to sell your house. You want it bright looking, and she was like, no. She picked out a brown color, and I started painting everything, and she told me to stop. She got an interior decorator over, and they said, she was like, what color should I use? And she looked in the bathroom, which I use this Cotton Ball color, and she told her, you should use that color in the bathroom for everything. And so, it really made the whole house look brighter. All this dark wood, dark colors, it'll make everything cave looking. So that's my advice on colors, but everybody's different with their colors of stuff. So now I'm going to tell you, my little advice on actual painting this. And so for this door stuff, the main thing you always got to remember is just keeping your brush strokes always like nice and even. So when you're putting the paint up, you can go like this, whatever, but your last strokes are always like going up all the way you can, to get like really long strokes, and even when I'm doing, I paint this part, at the end of painting, I'm looking to make sure all my strokes are good. Then I start on the next section, down painting. And you know, when I'm done with that, I'm going to make sure, like, you know, looking in the light, kind of that the strokes just kind of blend in together, and I kind of lift off the brush as I'm going up. So that's all you got to really remember. I mean, so, you know, of course you got to go like this, you know, to get that, you know, paint and these grooves and stuff, but you always just finish with the same, you know, grain kind of pattern. And the only other thing is, when you get done with whatever face you're doing, so say I'm painting this door, I get done with the whole door. Whenever you get done, always go on your edges, right? Because you're going to paint this like this, and there's going to be paint that's going to glob on here, you know, and you're going to, you're really not going to notice it because you're look at this, is going to be good. So when you're done with whatever face you're doing, come on the edges and just use your brush real lightly just to knock down that paint, because that looks cheesy when you're done. You have these globs, you know. And so, you know, if I got done with this side, I'd run my brush all the way down, make sure there's no globs, and then this side, you know, I would go up on that. Then I'm going to paint this edge right here, right? So I do this face, and when I get done with all this, then I'm going to, you know, stop, and I'm going to go on these edges to make sure I wipe it down there and there. So if you don't wipe it down, I'm telling you, you get these globs and then it looks kind of crappy. Then it's hard to, you know, scrape those off and try to fix it to make it look nice. So always go over your edges. So that's the main advice I got for you. Long strokes, and always check your edges to wipe down the extra. And it's just a lot of coats, you know. The first coat you won't know, it'd be like, and then second coat will cover it up a lot, and you'll be like, wow, this looks really good. And so, you know, maybe by the third coat you'd be done. Like I said, upstairs it took, I think, 4 coats on, you know, this flat stuff like this. On these edges right here, this would be more like 3 coats would probably be fine. But if you got this big, huge flat area, I mean, you just notice things more. So this will probably be 4 coats on this, 3 on the edge, 3 on these, and that should take care of it. So I mean, I got a lot of painting to do. It's kind of tight, so I'll probably won't get a lot of filming in on painting, but at least I got my advice in there, huh? Hey, so I got 1 coat on all the trim stuff. I mean, if you look at it close, you know, you can see right through it, all these dark spots, but don't worry about that. It's just first coat. Second coat looks way better than first coat. And every coat you do is going to be easier, because, I mean, next time I'll do, you know, this edge, but I can do it really quick since I've already cut it in pretty good. So that'll be quick. And then another coat, I wouldn't need a third coat on this outer edge at all. So I mean, that'll be done pretty quick. And so I just want to you know, get all this. I'll probably do another coat or 2 today, maybe. I don't know. It takes a while, you know, to do all this painting. But yeah, it's turned out all right so far. Hey, I'm going to get started on again today. Yeah, I get tired of painting after a while, so you know, I called it quits yesterday, but I was going to show you the difference here between the different coats of paint. So on this right here, I don't know how well this is going to show up, but this is 2 coats on this one, and you can still see through you know, the paint and spots to little dark areas. So anyways, that's 2 coats, and this one's like 3 coats. And so with 3 coats, I mean, it looks pretty good. I'm just going to go over this like one more time with a 4th coat. But when I'm doing a 4th coat, I'm not worrying about the edges. I'm not worried about these grooves. I'm just doing these kind of, you know, flat areas. And it's usually these big flat areas which you're going to see kind of wood still coming through. It's like when you paint these doors, they definitely need 4 coats just to hide all these, you know, little spots that might shine through. But anyways, 4th coat's like really easy to do and fast. So like I was saying, each coat gets a little quicker and easier. So I'm going to get a 3rd coat on some of this stuff. This window already had 3 coats on it, and it looks pretty good. I mean, I would call this about good. There's just some spots where the wood's still kind of bleeding through. If you have bare wood, you know, you should probably primer it, because otherwise sometimes you get these bleeds through a little bit. But I'll just put a 4th coat on that. You know, like I said, a quick 4th coat on this. It should be good to go. It looks almost good right now. So hey, and this is my paintbrush from yesterday. Like I said, just put them in a bag, and they're totally good to go the next day. So yeah, I'll start with this old brush. Hey, so I'm getting started on these doors right now. Usually I just do these edges first, and then I do the, you know, bigger side of the door. But I'm just putting paint on here. Okay, and so every time I do a side, like I mentioned before, I wipe down the brush, and then I come to each side, because see now on this side there's going to be this little ridge of paint, and so I just come over this side, just kind of go along the edge real quick and knock down that paint, and then on the other side, same thing. All right. So now I'm switching brushes. I want a bigger brush for the door stuff, but you could use a smaller brush too. So like I was saying, you can go like the opposite direction like this to get paint in all these little grooves and stuff. Sometimes it's hard to get it in all these grooves, but once you get done with your little section here where it looks like about enough paint, then you just go over everything, long strokes, you know, to get everything even and all in the same direction. If you got funky, you know, strokes, the next layer of paint you put on is not really going to cover up that. You're going to still see those stroke marks, and so if you start getting, you know, every layer of paint with different stroke marks, it'll start looking pretty bad. But I try to get it in all these little wood grain grooves they got going on here. Get it all in there, and then once it's all in there pretty good, I just finish everything with long straight strokes. And then, you know, again, once I start, you know, I'll get this side done, and then the next section I'll come down here and start going down further. And again, once I got down further, I'm going to, like, again, go strokes all the way up into this other section I already painted here, and make sure all the strokes look even all the way up. And again, once you get done with this, side, then, of course, go to this side and, knock down any little paint ridge you get on the inside there on both sides. And that's pretty much it. You just keep going over. Just always remember long strokes and just blend in your next section that you're doing with the other one, So I do this section and then I do this bottom next section and I just blend in the strokes together. And then of course, you got to check this edge when you're done because you'll have some paint coming over the edge. Just smooth that out. Keep on painting. Hey, so I'm just finishing up today. I should get my last coats on the door jambs and then get my last coats on the doors too. Anyways, this one you probably can't see it that well, but this one is 3 coats and it looks pretty good, but I can still see a little wood coming through. These now have 4 coats on them and they look fabulous. So anyways, 4 coats is the way to go with this paint anyways. And here's how the doors are looking. You can see all the wood grain still coming through the paint, which is good. And then all the lines are looking real smooth and uniform. So keep on painting. Hey, so I'm all done painting. Easy peasy, right? Well, just a lot of coats is all. I don't know how well you can see this, but you can turn out really nice. You can see the wood grain in it still, but it's not like you see huge amount of brush strokes or anything. And the color turned out nice, so you can't see anything bleeding through. So it turned out great. So one thing on the last bit of paint, so I'm down to about 3/4 of a gallon. And with 3/4 of a gallon, it's like you get little pieces of stuff in your paint all the time. And so just as you're painting, make sure you don't have any little blobs of stuff, just pick it out. Or this last painting today, I thought I would use a new brush, but then all kinds of bristles came out, probably like 6 times. I saw a bristle in there, had to take it out. But anyway, it's better when it's wet to see it and pick it out and brush over. So anyways, turned out really nice looking. So hey, and so in this video where I'm showing you how to paint a wood grain door with a brush to make it look really good, it really only works with those wood grain doors. Like, it looks really nice. But on a door like this right here, these metal doors, I wouldn't recommend using a brush. I mean, you'll see all your brush strokes in this flat area. It would look way better to spray this thing, but even me, I got a sprayer at home, and I'm up on my cabin build. But I do have a sprayer, but I wouldn't, hook up all that and run paint through all my lines for one door. So on doors like this, usually you got to use a brush in these small areas right here. Again, I try to brush these and get them kind of going in the right direction for each one. And then I would use either a 1/4 inch, I got a 1/4 inch nap, or I got this little baby roller I had around. I've never used it, and I thought, wow, man, that's got a really thin nap like this, 1/4 inch. So that would be good for the door too. You don't want something with a lot of fluff to it, because then it's going to leave a lot more ripples kind of in your door, so you don't want that ripply look. So anyways, get you a real fine nap roller, and then a brush. So again, I'm going to brush these insides, then I'm going to hopefully hit it while it's still wet and go around here and roller these in. But then again, once you're done with your roller, make sure you didn't get a lot of paint in these little grooves here. Sometimes you go over it with the roller and you'll get like globs of paint in here, so just make sure everything looks clean. again, I just wanted to show you how the door turned out. It turned out really nice. Again, you want to use that thin the nap as possible, like 1/4 inch. That little roller I had worked well, and it was I think that was a 1/4 inch nap on it too. The only thing I could see, I mean, as long as you use the thin nap, you really don't get too many you know, too many ripples in it. So this looks really nice. The only thing you gotta be careful about when you're doing these edges with the brush, try not to get much on the other edges, because usually if you do, you're gonna see it through the paint. I mean, this is like really hardly noticeable at all, but anyways, the door turned out pretty nice. Oh, and you know, again, on these corners when I'm brushing, I'm trying to brush this way for this direction, and then I get in the corner and go this way, so to keep all the brush strokes even, that helps out. Hey, so this door, I don't know if I really covered this one, but this one again is all entirely wood grain. And so if I have a whole wood grain door, I always brush the whole thing, because even in these areas right here, which seem a lot flatter, you know, if you have brush strokes going the same as this wood grain, it's gonna look like it's part of the wood grain. So it's not very noticeable. So in these kind of doors, I brush everything in the same direction as the wood grain. These go up, this grain goes this way. So I paint this in and then brush this way to make it smooth. And as long as you stick with those wood grains, it's going to end up looking pretty nice. So that's my advice on how to paint a door to look nice. Hope the video helped you.